Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Leggett here representing Team JVS. I am here to give you guys the review. So I'm talking about the film that I was able to go. Well, you can see the swag here. I was able to go to New York. There's another film I watched that was directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal and The Lost Daughter. And then this other one was just directed by Adam McKay, starring a slew of amazing actors and actresses. And I'm talking about Don't Look Up. So Don't Look Up, baseline premise, the best I can kind of put it is you got two astronomers that discover an asteroid that looks like it's coming towards Earth, which we've seen the story before. But every step that they take to try to prevent it or try to acknowledge it, it seems like the reality of our world and the deflections that happen, whether it's because of money, because of status, whether because of prospect, whether because of stupidity, basically continues to get in their way from trying to save the world that they obviously are trying to protect. Now, the thing about this film that was crazy is the cast, and I'll show you something in a second, but the cast here is just insane. You got Leonardo DiCaprio is playing the main lead of Dr. Randall. You got Jennifer Lawrence playing the role of Kate. You got oh my gosh, you got some of everybody in this. You got Rob Morgan. Rob, he's been in some of everything. Netflix really care about him as an actor, and he's done such an amazing job throughout the years. You got Meryl Streep, you got Cate Blanchett, you got Jonah Hill, you got Tyler Perry, which I couldn't find a picture of him. You got Kid Cudi, you got Ariana Grande, you've got Timothy Chalamet, and the list just goes on and on. Hermesh Patel, and the thing about this film that I was really taken back by was the fact that when I initially watched it, I was watching a little bit of it from home in my and just kind of just assessing what was going on. And I was like, oh, okay, this seems really serious. So like, the tone's going, and then all of a sudden it just switches to comedy and satire. And I initially was kind of like thrown off by that. I shouldn't have been because Adam knows comedy very well, and at the same time, he has a pivot point that he was trying to get for this. And when I was watching it at home, it was just a very different experience than when I went to the premiere. And the premiere, um, we were watching it in the theater, and I can tell you that the immersive experience of watching in a theater and people's um, reaction to the comedy, whether it lands or not, or understanding of certain moments or certain scenes. There's a scene with Leonardo DiCaprio, and you've seen it in the trailers where he's just hyperventilating and just losing it, and he's not able to contain what's going on inside of his heart and his head because he's not able to articulate what he needs to do. And then the other side to that is there's another scene where that scene is kind of like, oh, it's really comedic, really funny. But then there's another monologue scene that happens towards the second and third act. There's a very powerful scene, very well acted, and it was a pivot important moment in this film. And there's a lot of moments like that. There are moments throughout the entirety of this film where you have very important, powerful concepts. Timothy Chalamet's character, for instance, he plays a character that is kind of like, I don't want to spoil too much, but he's very connected to Jennifer Lawrence's character, Kate. And when you kind of meet him, the first time you kind of meet him, is like, what is this? Why would you have such a strong actor be put into this? Because he kind of plays the role of like looking at Kate as though she's just this weird it girl that everybody is looking at, in disdain. And he's just taken back by the fact that she just seems as though she just doesn't give a care. And that's just really not her personality. It came off that way. And it's very funny, but at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, this is really goofy, it's really stupid. And then later on, there's a moment with him. There's such a powerful moment towards the back half of the film. And it just kind of comes out of nowhere. And I think the thing about it, when you have actors like Jonah Hill or even Meryl Streep and even Jennifer Lawrence that on a dime can just take out anything that's going on, like, and just hit you emotionally or connect with you, that's where you have something to play with. And I think that Adam knew exactly what he was giving you. I have something also I wanted to show you guys towards the end of this review, and I think you guys are going to really like and hopefully you appreciate. But let's just go ahead and kind of break down some of the things. So I've talked to you a little bit about the story, but I do want to talk about the character dynamics because that's really important. But before I do have to talk about the imagery. So the imagery and cinematography and the score, I think the score is actually really freaking good. The score is so much better than I could have anticipated when I because when I was watching it, it's like it's a lot of things coming throwing at me. I'm trying to understand the satire, and I'm also trying to comprehend the script because Adam, when we were there and doing a press conference with him, he was saying that a lot of the script he wrote before the pandemic happened, before a lot of the things that were happening, and there's a lot of comparable connections to things that are happening right now that he was writing before this even happened. Matter of fact, they had to table the movie because they couldn't. I mean, the pandemic happened, and so they had to kind of leave it to the sidelines. And then later on, they were able to finish it out. But it's just fascinating to get that understanding because I didn't know that because I was like, man, this is so on the nose. But it just happened to be an amazing coincidence because it just was so telling. But I apologize. I digress. But as far as the cinematography, the scope and the different shots, I think that the scope is really good. I'm glad they didn't just keep it in one designated location. There's a couple different pull-out shots, whether it's Kate and Randall driving or whether it is like a shot that's taken from space or at a designated location where they're at in a facility. So they don't like underhand like the locations. It doesn't feel like this is just on a set or a green screen. Like it does feel like they actually did a lot of due diligence of different locations of where to actually go. And I think also the costume design, certain things that they did with Meryl Streep. And from my understanding, Meryl Streep decided like how she really wanted to dress with this. And she just kind of made it her own because she is the president in this situation. And her character, I do want to bring this up. Her character is not a good person, and at the same time, she's a very she takes advantage of a circumstance at all times. And sometimes it comes off really stupid, and then sometimes it comes off really skeevy and intelligent. And it's even crazier because the fact that Jonah Hill, who basically plays like her right hand person, is also her son, and there's some weird dynamics going there as well. And they play off of each other really well. But sometimes I would say that this isn't for everybody. Like a lot of the things and the satire and the dry comedy, it's not going to land for everybody. It's not like just a clear-cut comedy because they are taking things that are very serious subject matters. They are taking different situations that could possibly really happen in real life. Realistically, they're just making it a comedic moment. Like there's a moment, I kid you not, where Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and Rob Morgan's character are waiting for the president, and somebody kind of comes in and presents them with something, and all of a sudden they realize this person was just lying for no apparent reason, and you just ask yourself like, what in the world? And then it's a running joke. And some people that's going to work, and then some people it's not going to work for. So I just want to make sure you're cognizant of that. But again, cinematography is okay. Score is really beautiful. I think it's really important that because when I was listening to it without like watching the movie, like I was like, man, this is a really great score. A lot of dedication put into it. What do I think about the acting? I think that Leo does a standout performance because Leo in a conditioned situation like this, it's kind of like take the concept of what happened in the back half of The Wolf on Wall Street and just amp that up. This guy he's not a bad person. He's a scientist, but he's put into a very precarious situation of power and at the same time with obligation to the world. And nobody's really just listening to him, and nobody's listening to Jennifer Lawrence's character Kate either. But it's the earnest is put on him because of a certain circumstance. Now, I will say this: this is what I think are the standouts in this, and you can take it which way you really want to. I think that Ariana Grande and Kid Cudi's song, their song is so well done. It comes out because there's scenes you can take them or leave them as far as acting standpoint, but the improvisation and the execution of the song, she kills it. And of course, he works with her to do it. I think that was a really high moment. Kate Blanchett, she is amazing. Her as the news anchor Bree, like she just owned that. I was like, is this really Kate Blanchett? Like her and Meryl Streep seemed like they were having the time of their lives. They seem like they had so much fun. And it's funny because Kate and Kate Blanchett and Tyler Perry were working together because Tyler Perry was her co-anchor. And Tyler did okay as Jack, but Kate, she killed it. Like I was so impressed, like how much of a chameleon she is, and even the same regard with Meryl as the president. Like she really does own the role. I just don't like the character, and I think that's the thing about it. And there's not too many people that's gonna like it because it's so close to home and so on the nose that it comes off as bad taste. But I understand the reasoning for it. There are certain things with the satire in this, and this is going to the script and going to the dynamics of the point of this film. Some people are not going to get the point of this film. I think that after second viewing and understanding what was going on, I was like, there's some really important themes in this film that we need to take into account. And the funny thing is that Leonardo DiCaprio, Meryl Streep are very big advocates for environmental and health preservation of this planet. And they did speak to that in the press conference, that the reality is that a circumstance like this could possibly happen. It just seems so absurd how it happened and the dynamics in between and the comedic things that happen. It's just like, how could somebody be so stupid? But the reality is there's a lot of things that are happening even right now in our world that people aren't paying attention to that could have prevented some things that are even happening right now. And so the consequence of that is put in your face in this film on a global scale. And I think that the comparison, of course, to that is, of course, the pandemic. And to me, Adam, in certain levels, it's kind of like, I don't want to say he's stating that it's happened, and now it's kind of like, what do we do to live with it? What do we do to push forward? What do we do? Do we stop fighting? Do we stop living? Or do we, progress? And I think that in certain levels, that's where he's trying to kind of take this. Again, I think that this is going to land for some people and something is not. I will give you my final ratings with it. Another standout I thought did a really good job. Really, just a normal like character is Melanie. She plays the role of June, and that is Dr. Randall's wife. I thought that she played a really beautiful character, and it grounds the film, their family dynamics. Whereas like Mark Rayleigh, he kind of plays like a Tim Cook kind of type. Where he definitely kind of like Kate just immerses himself into it, but I just didn't care for his character at all. Like, matter of fact, it's kind of like, oh, here we go. But realistically, something like that may happen. It goes back and forth. It teeter-totters. Ron Perlman was even in this film, and he had a funny moment. But what do I think? What are my closing thoughts on the film? Do I think it's do I think it's the best comedy this year? No. I saw a movie recently called Free Guy, and that movie is hilarious. Easily one of my favorite films this year. And like the comedy hit, and at the same time, the delivery was even better. But I do think that there are some smart themes from a comedic level on this. I think that the satire does prove itself poignant on a certain level to understanding of what we need to do to progress. And I think that the biggest thing that I can say is that every actor in this just seems like they had all the fun in the world. And I think that when you have like Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence, Leonardo DiCaprio, some of the best of multiple different generations, right? and they're acting along other people that are also good in their own right. Like there's something about that that I really truly love. But I don't want that to undertake my perspective on the film. So I rate the film at a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. I would say a 7 out of 10 because I actually really want to see it again. I think that certain things about the film that I really did like, but then there's a lot of things I just didn't like. It was some of the comedic things that just didn't work. Some stuff didn't land. And if I was watching it by myself and just kind of picking it apart, I really wouldn't enjoy it. I think that from an entertainment standpoint, if you're watching this in the movie theater, along with other people, if you have the opportunity to, I think you're really going to actually enjoy it. If you're watching it at home with your family members, you know, it's maybe some guys or girls, it might be fun. It might be actually really fun for you. But if you're watching by yourself, you might not get that experience. And that's just my personal perspective on it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this review. I have a special, I had to do it, little thing that I was able to see and be a part of, thankfully, which I'm very excited about, when I was at the event that Netflix sponsored for Don't Look Up. So let's go ahead and see if I can go ahead and pull it up right now.
Well, that's cute. I mean, I am kind of an old goat. And, and then Jen told me in the photo shoot today what that means.
I don't know what made me say it. I was just like, oh yeah, put the goat place.
You thought I was calling you a goat?
Yeah. She totally accepted it. Oh, the movie too. She totally accepted it. And I was like, Meryl.
That's how cool she is.
I was like, Meryl, you know it means greatest of all time, right? And she goes, what? Oh.
Meryl, no. The greatest of all time. The greatest actor of all time.
Oh, that's better.
Is you. Not a goat.
She was just like, oh yeah, well, the old goat's here. Okay.
No. And have the whole movie kind of be about something, and I felt like that thing in your heart, in your stomach, where you're like I really feel this shit, and like it was beautiful. It was stunning to watch, even in a theater last night. Yeah.
Jonah, would you say if Meryl's the goat, is Leo the llama?
Likely to love acting more awesomely.
Coined a new acronym.
Scene at like the Bubba Gump restaurant, that was January 6th. And it was very emotional, and I don't recall ever making a movie that I felt was so important and fulfilling. But yeah, and also just devastating. It just feels like you're like, you know, looking at this mountain, like how are we going to get all of us, all of humanity, like up this, you know, mountain? I hope this works.
That type of once in a generation.
On that note, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that little tidbit. I did have a full video, which I'll link somewhere here. You can be able to watch it. Basically, it's a lot of different small little moments during the press conference for Don't Look Up, which I thought, I can never tell you guys how amazing it was to be in that room with such amazing talent. You just really, I don't know how to describe it, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button. We got a lot of content coming. Got an interview coming up for the director of Swan Song. I'll talk to you more about that later. Take care, guys. Peace.
Falling out the top of the I can see skyline,